Where's David? David. We're so delayed. Are we gonna,
He's there.
here he is. Are we gonna hear the delay in here? Like when I'm talking, we won't hear it in here.
Seconds.
Sir.
15 seconds. Then. My clock's different.
Apple gives us 2 minutes, right?
That's what I got.
I like Steve Jobs, so I'm gonna go with him. Your phone's gonna be the downfall of Apple.
It is.
It's gonna get out.
AT&T. Yes, please. I thought it might be a little quieter, but it's not.
It's 6 o'clock. Call the Sampson County Board of Commissioners to order for our August 18th meeting, our regular meeting. At this time, I recognize Vice Chair Lee.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to a very special portion of our meeting tonight. We are going to be recognizing an Eagle Scout, Robert Smith. He's the son of Brian and Melanie Smith. Received his Eagle Scout earlier this year, but because of COVID, his celebration had to be canceled. So his pastor, Reverend Tim Amin, is going to have the invocation, and Robert will lead us in the pledge. And we recorded this earlier because of the constraints of the number of people here. And thank you, Richard Carr, for a great job in facilitating this for us.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Ms.
Do you have Mr. Wilkins' comments? That would be-
Thank you, Vice Chair Lee, and congratulations, Robert Smith. At this time, let the record show that Vice Chair Lee, Commissioner Kivett, and Commissioner Godwin are participating in this commissioner meeting in person in the county auditorium. Also note that Commissioner Parker is participating remotely. Commissioner Parker, are you with us via Zoom?
His phone is muted, so.
Okay. If you would, Mr. Parker, or Commissioner Parker, just for the record, could you unmute and let us know that you can hear and see the proceedings in the county auditorium?
They're still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Commissioner. Thank you for confirming that you can hear and see the actions of the board here in the county auditorium. Thank you, Commissioner Parker. At this time, is there any changes to the published agenda?
None that I'm aware, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Causey. Also note that the board will recess and reconvene following the oral comments, item 1C. Being no changes, is there a motion that we accept the agenda as published?
I move that we approve the agenda as published.
Second.
Thank you, Vice Chair Lee and Commissioner Godwin. Given Mr. Parker Commissioner Parker is remote, Ms. Holder, would you call the roll for us?
Yes, sir. Chairperson Wooten,
In the affirmative.
Vice Chairperson Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Kivett,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Godwin.
Yes.
You have a unanimous vote, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Holder. Item 1A, to adopt temporary public comment rules. Is there a motion regarding the public comment rules, item 1A in the agenda? Mr. County Attorney, would you address those?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Beginning at page 4 of your agenda packet, page 4 through 5, you have a proposed resolution adopting temporary public comment rules for the August 2020 regular meeting. The board already has a number of rules relating to public comment periods, which you are required to have every month at your regular meeting by law. GS 153A 52.1 gives boards of commissioners wide latitude to adopt reasonable rules governing the conduct of those required monthly public comment periods. In order to facilitate social distancing and to accommodate as many speakers as possible, the proposed temporary rules do a number of things. Number one, they suspend the normal order of business. In your rules of procedure, you typically do the public comment period at the end of your meeting. This places that at the end of your invocation and pledge of allegiance in the setting of your business. You will have a 30-minute period to read written comments into the record, and that there was a deadline that was announced publicly that those comments had to be received by 5 o'clock yesterday, August 17th. The board has been already provided all of those written comments to review. The clerk will read those into the records for a period of not to exceed 30 minutes. In the event that she doesn't get to them all, however, the public should know that you have been provided with all of those to review. There will be a second period where individuals will be able to address the board in person orally for no more than 2 minutes at a time, provided that they comply with social distancing rules and the board's normal public comment rules regarding decorum. That would be my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Starling. Greatly appreciate that. Is there any questions or comments for Mr. Starling regarding the resolution he has addressed? If not, is there a motion to accept or to adopt the resolution on page 4?
I make a motion that we adopt resolution, adopt public comment rules.
Thank you, Commissioner Godwin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Kivett. Ms. Holder, would you be so kind to call the roll?
Chairman Wooten,
I'm sorry. Yeah. I apologize.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
No,
I'm sorry.
please.
No, you're all set. Beg your pardon.
Okay.
Chairman Wooten, how do you vote?
In the affirmative.
Vice Chairperson Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Commissioner Kivett,
Yes.
Commissioner Godwin.
Yes.
Sir, you have a unanimous vote.
Thank you, Ms. Holder. At this time, we'll begin a 30-minute period of reading into the record written comments. As Attorney Starling noted, these were received up to 5 p.m. August 17th, which was yesterday. All the comments have been provided to all the commissioners via email. And Ms. Holder, if you would, you begin the reading into the record. And do you have someone?
I have a timer.
So you have Apple.
I have an Apple timer here.
That's perfect.
And I'm going to start it now. And there will be one I'll have to read from another phone because my copier took one out of my paper copies, but I do have the electronic copy if we get to that one. And just to reiterate before I start the timer, each of you, there were a few that did not comply with our rules of eligibility. I did, however, provide each of you a written copy of those. But I will be reading the ones, as many as I can, that did meet that criteria. And the time is starting now. This one is from Dave Oldham. Please, please leave our Confederate memorial alone. The First Amendment rights include freedom of speech for our historical value. What has our little memorial done to anyone? Please leave the memorial in place. This one is from Janine Cook. I hope this email finds you well. I'm sure you have heard all the arguments from both sides. Since the statue belongs to the county, several residents feel that the whole county has not been included on this issue. With over 70,000 residents, there's more voices that need to be heard, not just 3,000 signatures. To be fair, we would like to see it on the ballot in November. This has upset many people in this county. We just don't protest about it. We prefer to vote on issues that concern all of us. This is the fair and democratic way. Please consider what the rest of us want by not letting our heritage be hidden away in a museum. Most of us grew up with that statue. We passed it on the way from school. We've taken comfort and confidence that it would always be there like an old friend. I did my high school term paper on him, as did others. I don't know anybody who ever thought about slavery when we looked at it. Many of us see it as a memorial to the soldiers that died here, which is exactly what it stands for, and not our ancestors owning slaves. This means a lot to many people for various reasons. Many of us have had Black schoolmates and lifetime friends, so now we're offended and hurt too. I'm afraid this is called division where there once was none. Thank you for your time and consideration. This one is from Kim Collier. I just wanted to let you know that I am against the removal of the Confederate statue at the courthouse. And she asked if there's someone I need to let know about my opinion. This one is from Vicky Strickland. I am so disappointed in the decision to move the statue from downtown. I would be willing to bet you that we would not even be talking about this if it were not for the Black Lives Matter movement. That statue is part of our history and should remain where it is. Personally, I don't want my taxes to be used for the removal of that statue. Instead of worrying about that statue, we should all be getting together around the courthouse to pray for our country and nation. Please consider asking the people by voting at the polls in November instead of making this decision on your own. Thanks for listening. The next comment is from Gary Fryer. Leave the statue alone. We already have given in to them enough. It's been there over 100 years. If my commissioner gives in, he has lost my vote, and I will tell everyone I know so he will be voted out of office. The next two comments were received on different days from Michael J. White. I have written to you before about the Confederate monument at the courthouse in Clinton. The city council adopted a resolution to remove the monument. That is breaking the law. I encourage you and other commissioners not to let this happen. I have also written to the sheriff, Jimmy Thornton of Sampson County, to uphold the law of the state. I also ask of you, sir, and the commissioners to uphold the law of the state. That monument is to veterans of the state and to Sampson County and is protected by law. You will be in neglect of duty of office, sir, if you and the other commissioners try to remove it. And Sheriff Jimmy Thornton would also be in neglect of duty if he would let you do a thing to it. I only ask, sir, that you uphold the law of the land and other commissioners also uphold. We have to go by the law. Everyone should. So I ask of you, sir, read my last letter and uphold the law and leave the monument alone. Thank you again for your time, and I pray this letter finds you and your family in great health, and please respond back. I'm sorry, there was one other person whose information was received between these two letters. This one is from Wilson Spencer. Thank you for your service in this very difficult time in our country's history. I am very glad we have citizens who are willing to serve. In regard to the above mentioned subject, I suggest that you require those who want this removal and all that support this removal to survey all of Sampson County and identify any and all of the monuments, memorials, plaques, signs, tombstones, etc., that could be offensive in the future, after which you can address the entire issue at once. This is the second letter from Michael J. White. I have written to you before about the Confederate monument at the courthouse in Clinton. On the night between 11 July and 12 July, the monument was pulled halfway down by a group of people who broke the law. I have said it to all the commissioners before that we are a republic, a land of law, that the symbol is the courthouse in Clinton. I urge the commissioners to put back the monument to the dead of the Confederate soldiers on the pedestal that remains on the courthouse property. I say again, we are a republic of land of law, where we are equal in the eyes of the law. That goes for the living and dead. But I ask y'all today, are you gaining to stand for the law of North Carolina, or are you going to fail now and give in to the lawlessness that happens? We are a people who make up this community. We are friends, neighbors, families. When it comes to things like this, we may have different viewpoints, but we live together, work together as a community. And as a community, we have to condemn this action of vandalism that has happened in our community and to this monument to Sampson County dead. I said in my last letter that we are a republic, a land of law. We should not reward for bad behavior and against the law actions that has been done. I give the commissioners a sample of what I mean. Enclosed is a copy of rewarding bad behavior and punishing the good for the small bad group. Without saying any names, even if it's public knowledge, I do have the right to say the husband and wives' names, but they got charged with a hate crime for taking pride in their community and the law and painted over graffiti on a state-maintained highway. And he references the exhibits that he sent pictures of. It is people being rewarded for breaking the law and bad behavior. We have a community cannot let our country become like the rest of the state with lawlessness in the streets and taking down anything that we may not agree with to only please the small group of troublemakers in our community. I ask the commissioners to put back the monument in Sampson County Confederate dead back on his pedestal because it's the right thing to do and went against our law and again, the proper way of going about it with a healthy debate on the subject. Just because it's down doesn't mean you should stay down. Totally opposite, because that's what this individual's wanted. That's a community, we should say no to that. And it's going back up because we are going to talk about it the right way, not your way. I conclude with this. It was never about our monument to our Confederate dead, but only to divide us as a community, as a county. If it was only about the monument, then why in the second copy enclosed, you will see our national flag ripped off of the courthouse flagpole in Clinton. That symbolizes our faith, family, love for our country, and that symbolizes our republic as a nation in front of the symbol of the community that represents law and order in our community, the courthouse. So commissioners, the question is not whether it should go back up, but when can we get it back up to show that we are a community of all and we stand for the law and that we are acceptable to everyone and that we honor them who give up their lives, give up on being a dad, give up on being a husband. We are a land of law for us who are writing, and the same for the living, and for the same for the dead, for we have laws to protect them and their memory and sacrifice to our community and state. I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your time and patience. I truly thank you. And he did provide pictures, which you have been provided. From Dwight Williams, let's see if I can get to that. I'm sorry, his comes next. This is out of order, my apologies. From Steve Hewlin to the Sampson County Commissioners. With the recent vandalism of the Sampson County Memorial on Sunday, July 9th, 2020, I feel it is necessary to resend this email to make sure my address is on the bottom so it'll be read into the meeting record. Let me remind you that the bronze statue that was pulled off of the top of the Confederate Memorial remains the responsibility of Sampson County to have repaired and replaced within 90 days from which it was vandalized. It has come to our attention that you are considering the removal of the monument in your municipality / Sampson County, honoring Samsonians who fought and died for this country, state, and for the Confederate States of America during the American War between the states. After consulting with legal counsel, we wish to remind you that under North Carolina law, specifically under Chapter 100 of the North Carolina General Statutes related to monuments, memorials, and parks, which is commonly referred to as the Heritage Protection Act, or HPA, it is unlawful to remove Confederate monuments or any object which includes monuments from public spaces. In short, a local government must follow the requirements of this law and keep the Confederate monuments currently where they are, with very limited exceptions. As you are aware, on July 23, 2015, the General Assembly, with overwhelming bipartisan support and with almost no objection, enacted the Cultural History, Artifact Management, and Patriotism Act of 2015. See 2015 North Carolina Laws SL 2015-170 SB 22. As it is relevant here, the substantive provision of the act is codified as North Carolina General Statute 100-2.1 and places clear restrictions on the removal and relocation of statues and memorials located on public lands. In its entirety, the statute provides as follows. A, approval required, except as otherwise provided in Section B of this section, a monument, memorial, or work of art owned by the state may not be removed, relocated, or altered in any way without the approval of the North Carolina Historical Commission. B, limitations on removal. An object of remembrance located on public property may not be permanently removed and may only be relocated, whether temporarily or permanently, under the circumstances listed in this subsection and subject to the limitations in this subsection. An object of remembrance that is temporarily relocated shall be returned to its original location within 90 days of completion of the project that required its temporary removal. An object of remembrance that is permanently relocated shall be relocated to a site of similar prominence, honor, visibility, availability, and access that are within the boundaries of the jurisdiction from which it was relocated. An object of remembrance may not be relocated to a museum, cemetery, or mausoleum unless it was originally placed at such a location. As used in this section, the term object of remembrance means a monument, memorial, plaque, statue, marker, or display of a permanent character that commemorates an event, a person, or military service that is part of North Carolina's history. The circumstances under which an object of remembrance may be relocated are either of the following. 1, when appropriate measures are required by the state or political subdivision of the state to preserve the object. 2, when necessary for construction, renovation, or reconfiguration of buildings, open spaces, parking, or transportation projects. Exceptions: this law does not apply to the following: highway markers set up by the Board of Transportation in cooperation with the Department of Environmental Quality and the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources as provided in Chapter 197 of the Public Laws of 1935. 2, an object of remembrance is owned by a private party that is located on public property and that is the subject of a legal agreement between the private party and the state or a political subdivision of the state governing the removal or relocation of the object. 3, an object of remembrance for which a building inspector or similar official has determined poses a threat to public safety because of an unsafe or dangerous condition. As set forth above, the HPA establishes grounds for removal and relocation of monuments that are exceedingly narrow. See the University of North Carolina Law Review note by Casey E. Wallers, North Carolina's Heritage Protection Act, Cementing Confederate Monuments in North Carolina's Landscape, 94, and he gives the citation, which reads, the HPA effectively prohibits any object of remembrance from being permanently removed, and it only permits relocation in 2 narrow circumstances. The author also notes, when considering the way the statute operates, as opposed to how it appears on its face, the North Carolina HPA is functioning a complete prohibition of monument removal. Pursuant to the HPA, the only circumstances under law which prohibit the temporary removal of an object of remembrance, for example, monuments as outlined above, are set forth under subsections B1 and B2. From the plain and unambiguous statutory language set forth therein, there appears no viable argument related to any action regarding the removal of the monument located within your jurisdiction, as your locality is a subdivision of the state of North Carolina. Moreover, relocation is intended to be temporary to preserve and protect monuments during construction and other related activities. However, among the 3 listed exceptions set forth under the law, subsection C3 does permit removal of a monument, for example, object of remembrance, only when, quote, the object of remembrance for which a building inspector or similar official has determined poses a threat to public safety because of an unsafe or dangerous condition, end quote. It is the exception which is now used as a rationale for removing monuments due to violent protest and criminal activity. But unlike the analysis with respect to subsection B requiring preservation, subsection C3's reference to public safety and dangerous condition or doubtful rationale in relation to violent protests and the like. Unfortunately, this argument was employed by Governor Cooper this past Saturday as a pretense to remove the Confederate monuments on the Capitol Square in Raleigh. We understand that a number of communities around the state may be inspired to act in the same manner. Nevertheless, the clear language of subsection C3 specifically limits removal due to physical condition, i.e., e.g., weakness, decay, etc., of a monument which has been verified by the building inspector or other official inspector. This does not permit an exception to the law based upon exterior threats by violent protesters, rioters, or vandals. This clear legal interpretation was confirmed in a judgment entered by the North Carolina Historical Commission, the body with exclusive jurisdiction under the HPA or monuments law related to temporary or permanent removal of monuments owned by the state or political subdivision of the state at a formal commission hearing held on August the 22nd, 2018. At that meeting, it examined a proposal from Governor Cooper incorporating that incorrect interpretation to relocate the 3 Confederate monuments from the state capitol grounds. Interestingly, the vote supported the correct interpretation of the HPA and against Governor Cooper was a 9-2 decision, which included supports from members of the commission appointed by the governor. And the monuments remained in place legally until the monuments law was violated by Governor Cooper's order. We sincerely stress that actions taken in derogation of the law because of violent mobs, rioters, protesters, or vandals cannot be supported. In this case, the law clearly supports the monuments remaining in place. Please understand we wish to work with localities within the state, but we do not ask that they abide by the controlling principle in our republic, that if laws passed by a state legislature are ignored, then the mob controls, thereby making ineffectual the rule of law. Accordingly, it is up to you to ensure law enforcement protect the monuments located within your jurisdiction as required under North Carolina General Statute 100-2.1. Further, the state and its political subdivisions have an obligation to hold all of those who act in a lawless manner, whether in direct violation of the HPA or other state laws, accountable. We are a nation of laws. There is a prohibition against rewarding those who willingly break such laws by failing to enforce the very laws they violate. If local governments wish to move these statutes, they need to either present their case before the North Carolina Historical Commission or work to have the law changed. We respectfully ask you not to ignore the law or cynically attempt to say the law allows action it clearly does not. He also provided a copy of the comments that he references, and they are about 7 pages long. So it was an attachment. I will read them if you would like, sir.
It's up to the board. I feel like that we have them and we have
Okay.
read them, and in order to,
Allow more comments, just,
thank you. Is there anyone on the board that wishes to hear those 7 pages?
and they were an attachment to his email, that very long email. So
Commissioner Godwin, do you feel the need to hear that?
No, I don't.
They're in the record,
I'll proceed on this.
and we've got them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
These comments are from Donald Herndon. Let's see, attached are 2 documents I would like to be read into the record. And his are a resolution recognizing and supporting the Sampson County Sheriff's Department and the criminal justice system. Let's see if and my name is Donald Herndon. My address is 5061 Cornwallis Road, Turkey. Because of the Chinese virus pandemic, the Sampson County Board of Commissioners is holding a virtual monthly meeting rather than their regular publicly attended meeting. Public comments must be submitted prior to the virtual meeting and are read into the record at that meeting. The following are comments I wish to be read. Whereas there have been several protests at the Sampson County Courthouse during late June to mid to late July thus far, and where an elected official of the Clinton City Council knowingly and publicly falsely stated multiple times with no evidence, documentations, facts, or substantiation to those entering the courthouse as people of color have no rights and neither will you find justice. And whereas no elected officials on Board of Commissioners have publicly pushed back on and emphatically denied this false allegation, leaving people in the community at large to wonder, is it true? And whereas some of the protesters support the Black Lives Matter movement, who have as one of their primary goals is to defund the police. And whereas these protests have incited and led to the graffiti, vandalism, and destruction of county property in the city square of the city of Clinton. And whereas similar protests have included rioting, looting, violent assaults, and/or shootings of innocent civilians in many cities, which continues to spread across our nation, including cities in our own state, such as Gastonia, Raleigh, Charlotte, Fayetteville, among others, by Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and other anarchist movements. And whereas the basic rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are under siege, and whereas elected officials' first duty is to provide safety, security, protection of people and their property, and to assure and reassure the community at large that they recognize and will fulfill this solemn duty, especially in times of ongoing rioting, looting, violent assaults, and/or shootings in cities around our state or nation. And whereas these kinds of lawless actions should not be allowed to occur in Sampson County, whereas the Sampson County Sheriff's Department and criminal justice system has in the past and continues each and every day to provide fair and impartial treatment and equal justice to all people, regardless of race, color, or creed. And whereas Sampson County Commissioners have not publicly assured or reassured the community at large that they will provide adequate funding for safety, security, and protection of people and their property, and have not publicly pronounced support for the Sampson County Sheriff's Department and the criminal justice system. And whereas Sampson County Commissioners have not publicly denounced and rejected false comments such as, quote, "To those entering the courthouse as people of color have no rights and neither will you find justice," end quote, and have not publicly denounced and rejected any calls for defunding or redirecting funds of the Sampson County Sheriff's Department and the criminal justice system. Now therefore be it resolved, I am requesting the Board of Commissioners of Sampson County to adopt and pass the attached resolution entitled a resolution recognizing and supporting the Sampson County Sheriff's Department and the criminal justice system. And he too provides an attachment, which basically is the same thing in what I just read. This comment is from Justin Lucas. I was outraged to see that individuals decided to take matters into their own hands regarding the Confederate statue in front of the Sampson County Courthouse, evidenced by the vandalism being done in the cloak of night. The criminals who decided to commit this act showed they are true cowards. Despite this, I believe that Sampson County Board of Commissioners should vote to permanently remove the statue if state law allows. The appropriate place for a statue of this nature in the year 2020 is a museum. Separately, all leaders, local, state, or federal, need to be mindful that their rhetoric has an effect on the people they serve. We do listen. Thank you. This comment is from Margaret Norton. Upon reading the article in the newspaper, I see there will be a hearing Monday night concerning the federal monument. I urge our county leaders to make a stand and support our county. Our grandparents, uncles, dads fought in that war. Many died defending our community. Young boys, men, young and old, died. Some were drafted with no chance of saying no. It was a long and brutal war fought locally and across the miles. These men and their families deserve this monument to be in full view for all to see what was done for this generation. Do not hide it behind closed doors or in a museum as though we are ashamed of our forefathers. They fought for all people, not white, not black, not Indian, but every single one who was living in that time. We need leaders that will serve for all the city, all the county, not just portions. We do not need leaders who give into diversity just to appease. Our county did not ask for that war, but our men and our boys fought with pride and integrity, and many gave all they could. Look at battles all the way from Georgia through Fayetteville, Sampson County, all through Newton Grove, Four Oaks. A lot of people died at the hands of the Union Army, and much property was destroyed. The monument is a reminder to families of the dead as to what they did to preserve our communities. We never thought it about being a monument for bondage, but a monument of freedom. Freedom from the North trying to enslave and rule the South. I urge all to read your history, then make your decision. Please leave the monument at the courthouse so those coming behind us will remember the freedom we had that was not free, not white, Blacks, Indians, Mexican, Hispanic, Asians, but all people living here for our communities and county have received their freedom to be free to have a business, walk around, have a job, feel safe, because these Confederate men sacrificed their time, energy, and lives to keep us free. This is from Alexander Scott. My name is Alexander Scott Tatum. I'm a native of Harrells. My people have lived in the southern part of the county for more than 200 years and have done so as peacefully upholding members of the community, some Black, some Indian, and some white. Some labored in the fields to produce the bountiful agricultural harvest year after year. Some taught and still teach. Some served as law enforcement. Over the years, history will have it that my family fought in every American war, including the American Revolution today. While Sampson County is truly a jewel of our state and nation with its history and all of the amazing people that it's produced, there are attainments that need to occur for us to move forward. We find ourselves here to discuss a statute that was commemorative to the very people who committed treason for the right to use my people as free labor to line their coffers, to hold, sell, kill, hurt, overwork, and tear my people apart for money and power. They fought and lost that war. And furthermore, these statues were put up for the sole reason of making sure the Southern slave owners and Confederate soldiers' grandchild didn't look down on them for enslaving blacks, but rather revered them for fight for their rights. This statue was placed here as a part of a meticulous and very public social program of disinformation by the daughters and sons of the Confederacy and other groups. As a kid, I'd ride by that statue and I can remember finding out what it was there for. Even to this day, I cringe when I ride past. The years of overt racism and institutional racism, intimidation, and fear used against Black and people of color here is in fact disgusting. Let's take this time to heal and do what is right. Move the statue to the Confederate cemetery or to a museum where it belongs. Teaching your sons and daughters the truth. treat people right. Be and do what is right. I implore the entire board to take this time and be on the right side of history. Your children are watching. Your grandchildren are watching. We are all watching. Let's get this done so we can move forward to more of the systematic issues of poverty, food access, education, our seniors, and more that we see in our communities. This comment is from Carla Peterson. I did not witness the Civil War firsthand, nor did any of you. I rely upon the annals of history, documentaries, biographies, folklore, and other information to unveil what happened preceding, during, and after the war. Based upon what I have read and what I know today, I think most of us will agree there were two issues at the center of the conflict: slavery and states' rights. If a person makes an exhaustive study of both of these issues, it will not explain what happened during the Civil War. The Civil War was the bloodiest and deadliest war we've ever fought. The South in particular was devastated by the war. The number of men, some very young, who died was staggering, especially for a sparsely populated region. The death toll for the South was and continues to be a lesson not to ever be forgotten. Many of these young men died in hand-to-hand combat. They died in combat characterized by fighting with bayonets and dismembering with swords. And again, many were very young. As a mother of two sons, I asked myself what would trigger so much emotion and passion that I would send my sons into this kind of combat. I have thought long and hard about this question. A memoir and biography of an officer of the Confederate Army has helped me to find the answer to that question. This man was a Virginian. He was opposed to slavery and succession like many others in Virginia. Virginia, as was North Carolina, was one of the last 4 states to succeed. These states did not succeed until after the Battle of Fort Sumter. This Virginian made publicly known his distaste for secession and slavery. So why did he align himself with the South when it was all said and done? According to a contemporary and editor of a local paper, his thoughts on secession was, do you know what secession means? It means bloody war followed by feuds between the border states, which the century may not see the end of. In the same conversation, this Virginian told the editor he would fight for the Union Army. This Virginian was John Mosby, a small, frail man who would come to be known as the Gray Ghost. He would rise to the rank of colonel and earn a reputation that traveled even as far as Europe. When the editor ran into him after the conversation referenced above, he reminded Mosby of what he had said about fighting for the Union. Mosby's response was, "No more of that," said he with a twinkle of the eye. "When I walked that way, Virginia had not passed the ordinance of secession. She is out of the Union now. Virginia is my mother. God bless her. I can't fight against my mother, can I?" Therein lies the answer to my question. For a good number of people, an allegiance to a particular region, group of people, way of life, a culture, or set principles is so powerful that it helps define who they are, even if they can discern flaws or inconsistencies with other beliefs. The Confederate monuments represent an allegiance so strong, so powerful, that mothers would send their sons into gruesome combat. The Confederate monuments are a reminder of the price Southerners are willing to pay. They are a reminder to us all of the price we must have to pay in future combats. For all of those families in the South who lost so much, and for us all now living and unborn, I am in favor of reinstalling the monuments at the courthouse, a place of prominence and respect in our small community. We should have reminders of the cost of war in all small communities. In my opinion, these monuments are well suited for the South, given the extent of our losses in the Civil War. I also believe they are benefiting our counties and regions' passion for history and culture. The next comment is from Mr. Dwight Williams. Dear County Commissioners and citizens of Sampson County, please put our county's historical statue back in its original pedestal in front of the county's courthouse. I would also ask that it be returned in the condition it now exists, with its bumps, bruises, bends, scrapes, scratches, and all. For you see, these two are now part of history. These two cannot be erased or repaired to the exclusion of memory. It is now part of us, Sampson County. I remember from a movie in the 1950s entitled The 10 Commandments, a quotation, "So let it be written, so let it be done." This is the definitive statement from the Pharaoh after proclaiming that every representation of the name and likeness of Moses be stricken from all of the history of the Egyptian people forever, as though Moses never existed. We all know the story. Moses was born. That's our 30 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Holder. Appreciate your willingness to read those comments in the record.
And there,
Again,
yes, sir, I have provided all of them to you, so you should have a copy.
just for the record, we all have those comments on our email and have them for review. Is there any commissioner that does not have all the comments Ms. Holder said?
There is one that I missed sending you in the group today, and I will make sure that it gets sent to you. It's
Vice
just
Chair.
one. It's just the copier missed getting that one.
Okay,
Commissioner Kivett?
yes.
Commissioner Parker, you received them on email and are they under review and under review?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Okay, at this time, like to move to the presentation of oral comments.
If you're ready to start, sir, I'll get the sign-up list for you.
I would like to, for you, Ms. Holder, if you would, to please explain the rules of the oral comment period before we start.
Certainly, sir. Let me grab this. The public comment period will then include a period during which the board will receive oral comments. The individuals who wish to address the board during this portion of the public comment period will be allowed to address the board for no more than 2 minutes each. They will come into it will be admitted into this room one at a time. They will be following social distancing. They will remove their masks. When they get ready to speak, I will push a button here. That red light will become green, acknowledging that their time has started. If they have 1 minute remaining, the light will turn yellow. And at the conclusion of their 2 minutes, it will turn red and a buzzer will sound. They will then be asked to excuse themselves from the room so we can hear the next person in line.
Let me, just for the record, say that the public comment period is an opportunity for citizens to express their viewpoints. The citizens, however, are not entitled to demand the board to answer impromptu questions. Also, anyone entering that does not exhibit proper decorum or comply with social distancing requirements may result in the speaker forfeiting his or her right to address the board. The one thing that I will say, of course, we all have our mask here, but the rules say no more than 10.
Yes, sir. We calculated one person speaking to make the 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
4,
7,
6, 8,
Yes, sir.
10.
Well, when the officer will step out to the hallway, will be right outside the door. So you will still only have your 10.
That's perfect. We'll make sure we're within the law here.
We're doing good. We're doing good.
We're gonna follow the law, right?
That's
That's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Follow the law. Follow the law. Now, you said they were gonna remove their mask,
When they
But
come to the podium.
but Ms. Holder, now that's at their discretion.
Well, if we hope that it would be easier for them to speak at the podium if they remove their mask. If they prefer to leave it on, that is fine. Yes,
That
sir.
is their,
That is their-
let's please everybody understand, that's at their discretion.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, and Ms. Holder, you said that this was gonna continue till everyone here.
So everyone that has signed up and has come tonight has been given the opportunity to speak.
All right, officer, we're ready to go? Unless some other commissioner.
The order that they're on the sheet, yes.
That's right.
That may-
So the first is Lee Bynum.
Would you like me to give it back to Ms. Stillman so she can call her in the morning? Or do you want to have to see it? She has it. Okay, we're good. you're ready to begin, just give me a nod and I will start your time, Ms. Byam.
Yes,
Ready?
yes.
Here you go.
Good evening, commissioners. Commissioner Wooten, Commissioner Godwin, Commissioner Lee, and Commissioner Kivett. Good evening. My name is Lee Byam. I am the president of the local branch.
Ms. Bynum, and I'm give her a little time for this, but please know that Commissioner Parker is with us via Zoom.
And Commissioner Parker, I'm so sorry that you're not here in person with us, but good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Lee Byam. I am the president of the local branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. It is our mission to ensure the political, social, and economic equality rights of all people, and to eliminate racial hatred and racial discrimination. In 2017, we wrote a letter requesting the relocation of the Confederate statue, which was located in front of the Sampson County Courthouse. Recently, the statue was removed. We stand by our original request to relocate, do the right thing, remove the base, and relocate the statue. Advance justice, beautify the area with something that represents peace and justice for all people and for future generations and citizens of Sampson County. Do the right thing. Don't table this issue another 3 years. Our hearts are heavy with the burdens of injustice around the county and around the country. Do the right thing, relocate the statue. Recently, in 2020, we awarded 10 students in Sampson County scholarships to continue their education. We would be extremely disappointed for future generations and leaders in Sampson County to be burdened with the reminder of an unresolved issue of an unjust problem. Do the right thing, remove the statue.
Your time has expired.
Thank you. May I leave a copy of the letter to distribute? Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Mr. Sutton, if you'll let me know when you're ready, I'll start the timer.
Ready? Good evening, and thanks for allowing this time for us to speak. My name is Larry Sutton, and tonight I am speaking on the statue issue. Let's make no mistake about it. The cause of the Confederacy was to secede from the Union, preserve slavery, and to destroy the United States, our government. It was on the 50th anniversary of our state seceding from the Union on May 10th, 1911, that our then county commissioners voted 2-1 in support of the Confederate Daughters proposal. They had asked to have a statue placed in downtown Clinton. The vote was 2-1. And on May 10th, 1916, the courthouse grounds received the statue as a tribute to the county's soldiers who had fought to preserve slavery and to destroy the U.S. government. In a cause, though lost, still just, and died for me and you. Now, those words are the inscription on the base of the statue, thus glorifying the lost cause. This statue, for the last 104 years, has remained on the grounds at the Hall of Justice in downtown Clinton as a symbol of racism, white supremacy, hatred, and division. I know there are people who argue. Thank you for your time. Very quick 2 minutes. Thank you.
Would you like to leave a copy?
Yes, I would.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Let me know when you're ready. I'll be glad to
Okay,
start.
ready? Okay, my name is Daru Bryant. And to address this issue concerning the statue, there's a scripture that comes to mind, said, "To whom much is given, much is required." You've been elected as officials to make tough decisions and tough calls. We're in a situation right now where a decision has to be made. Some decisions are based on moral obligation. Others is just a straight out responsibility. So right now, with this situation with the statue, there's two choices here. There's one choice where you have the community, a portion of the community that says, you know, we want to see justice, we want to see change, we want to see reformation. In order for that to start that process, they're requesting the statue to be removed. There are others that see it on the opposite end of the spectrum. They want to see the statue remain because they feel like it's heritage, their Confederate past. So there's a choice to be made. But one thing I understand about the Confederate past is very damaging when I think about it, because of the fact that there are men who were slaves, Black men, men of color who were slaves, their women were raped, their children were taken from them and sold. They were given no respect at all. So whenever I see a monument, a statue that represents that past, that is the constant reminder. So for someone to make a decision to say, let's keep that statue, then really they don't have the right intentions for community. You have a choice today to make a change and think about the community. This should not be a political decision, nor should it be a decision based on whatever your base or your constituents are saying that should be done. But you should make a decision today. So with that coming to a close, we know what that belief is. If you are standing on the principles and the right belief, make the right choice. Let's not make a choice that says we believe in that Confederate past, we believe in bigotry, we believe in racism, that we believe in.
Mr. Bryant, thank you for your comments.
All right.
If you'll give me a nod when you're ready to start, I will start your timer.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners. We thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to be here on this afternoon. My name is Reverend Marcus Beckton. I am Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Clinton, and it is an honor to be here this afternoon under these circumstances. I'm also Senior Pastor of Way of the Cross Church Ministries of Turkey, North Carolina, right here in the county. I understand your position and being a city councilman, being appointed since 1996 that I have served on the city council. I understand whenever there's important issues that needs to be addressed. So we certainly thank you again for allowing us to be here. Real quickly, I have been a proponent of having this statue removed, and after other events that have taken place that cause it to be removed, it is my intent to just kindly ask of you guys that the remaining portion of that statue, that base part, be removed as well. I think that you removed it for safety purposes. And I feel that we've been fortunate enough not to be Fayetteville, not to be Raleigh, not to be Wilmington or Raleigh-Durham or any of those areas that have experienced the stuff that they've experienced. I think Sampson County is better than that, and Clinton as well. And so I believe that for that same reason, for safety purposes and for the betterment and for the healing, I think, of all of us, I think it's real important that that be removed and placed in a more feasible place, such as the museum, or if some have said, such as the cemetery. But I just implore you guys on this evening, if you would consider that. And as you have, I have talked to business owners from downtown. I've talked to other people who have sent letters, who have even expressed, I think a couple have even made phone calls to some of you guys pertaining to their support of wanting to have that down. And I think that's the end of my time. All right, but thank you all so much for allowing us that. Appreciate it.
If you're ready, sir, I'll start your time.
Good evening. I'm Luther Moore, a retired high school guidance counselor and the first vice president of the Sampson County branch of the NAACP. I remember growing up in Clinton in the 50s and 60s when there were separate water fountains and bathrooms for blacks and whites. I remember vividly the whites only signs on the bathroom doors of the courthouse. These were visible signs of discrimination and a knee on the neck of African Americans. I've witnessed time and again that people of color experience discrimination. Glad to say that little by little, overt displays of discrimination have diminished. However, there exists one symbol in downtown Clinton that opens old wounds. Every time that I enter or pass by the south side of the courthouse, stories of cruel and inhumane treatment of my ancestors during slavery time are fresh in my mind. The statue of a Confederate soldier and the pedestal it sits on are the culprits of such anguish on my heart and in my mind. Most of you in this room probably don't know the wording that's inscribed on the pedestal below the statue. For your information, here it is. In honor of the Confederate soldiers of Sampson County, who bore the flag of a nation's trust and fell in a cause, though lost, still just, and died for me and you. Let's be honest. The Confederate soldiers did not die for people of color. They certainly didn't die for my ancestors who were slaves. Therefore, the Confederate statue that is stored someplace now should be moved to the Sansom County History Museum along with its pedestal, not returned to the grounds of the courthouse. We recognize that this is historical, so let's put the statue in a historical setting. Thank you for your time, and let's do the right thing.
Would you like to leave that copy?
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, city, county commissioners and the people. I'd like to say my part for the people. I lived in Sampson County. My family came from Sampson County. During the time we were raised in schools and all, we were taught what we were supposed to do by the history and all, and this is part of our history of keeping things together. Not only that, if everybody would look after their own stuff, everybody would look after their own things. We're supposed to, by the Bible, not to do stuff to damage anybody or any person. And I'm here to represent Clinton for the people of Sampson County too, that we would like to see the statue back where it was. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb.
For those listening, sir, that person's name was Steve Lamb. I don't think he introduced himself.
No, he did not. That was my classmate.
Once you're ready, ma'am, if you'll give me a nod, I will start your time.
Okay, Betty Jean Hart. Need to take this out. And just out. Do I need to lower that or?
You can if it's more comfortable for you, yes, ma'am.
There, is that better? Okay. All right. I didn't expect to be able to speak, and so my thoughts are not well organized. But I did want to talk about how the Clinton Confederate Monument is misrepresented in the press, as most monuments are. It was initiated in 1909 by the Ashford Sellers chapter of the United Daughters of the Confederacy. I've read the minutes of the meetings concerning its development and the continued work on it. There aren't any signs of racism or white supremacy or anything negative. It was only meant to be a monument to the Confederate soldiers, many of whom did not come home and whose graves were unknown. So most Confederate monuments are gravestones. There were 22 servicemen from Sampson County listed in the paper. Names are Strickland, Allen, Weeks, Daughtry, King, Glisson, Crow House Pope Smith. And I have always wondered why a group of widows and orphans would be interested in supporting white supremacy or saying anything about it. White supremacy's never been very good to me, so I would not think a bunch of women would be interested in that. So it's really a substitute gravestone. It should be respected. We shouldn't only love the ancestors whose politics we agreed with. The lost cause was independence for the South, and I'm surprised that more people who object to the monuments can't appreciate that desire for freedom. People in Seattle and Portland are wanting to be free of the federal government, and that's what the South wanted to do. So it really is, the lost cause is independence.
What was her name?
Betty Jean Hart.
Hart. Ms. Holder, would it be possible for you to scan this list and send to each commissioner?
Certainly.
How you do?
Hello, sir. When you're ready, if you'll let me know, I'll start your time, and please start with your name.
Okay. I'm Johnny McGee. I was raised here in Sampson County. My father was raised here. And I've spent 35 plus years as a volunteer firefighter and EMT, and 23 years with the National Guard and Army Reserve with an 11-month tour to Iraq. My reason for being here is the history that I've loved to grow up with. I've had a great-great-grandfather that fought for the North in the Civil War and one that fought for the South. And his name was Andrew Jackson McGee. I've got a picture of his headstone. He lives right, well, where some of my uncles used to live at in Turkey. It's kind of grown up now, but I've been trying to keep it up. I've been an active member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans when it was here in Clinton. Mr. Claude Hunter Moore, history professor. I went to school with his children and would periodically go around with him, going to historic places. I always admired the statue that was there for the Confederate veterans. But recently, I see that the Confederacy has come under attack. And, you know, I could probably understand where African Americans are coming from, because being 65, I'll be 66 in 2 months. I know where these people have come from, and it's bad. I'm glad that they have gotten to where they're at now, everybody, because there's only one race, and that's the human race. Pulling rescue calls, fire calls, is that 1 minute?
That was your 2-minute ending.
2 minutes? Okay, I apologize, but President Abraham Lincoln, this will be the last thing, Abraham Lincoln made his historic speech on Gettysburg Address. 2 minutes. but I would like to see everybody come to peace because life is too short to have all the trouble and problems that this country has right now.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, sir, if you'll come to this podium. If you will give me a nod when you're ready, I will start your time. And just please start with your name.
All right, my name's Marty McGee. And I was just up here to voice my opinion on all this mess that's going on, you know, and I don't believe in all of it. Looked like there'd be a better way we could take care of this stuff. Everybody get along, you know, and I know that there's processes you got to go through with the law to take down statues and do all this kind of stuff. And they ought to have somebody on video tearing these statues down, because they ain't, if you erase history, you're never going to learn about history. And that's for everybody. And I don't think it's right. And my girlfriend, her father was a big historian, Claude Moore, and he donated all his museum and everything to the Sampson County Museum up here. And she's on the board of directors and everything for the museum and over the statue and all that stuff. And they had promised to take it down, you know, as soon as they could. And then somebody still tears it down. And I know there had to be video of somebody doing it. And somebody needs to be prosecuted for doing it, because people keep doing this stuff and letting them get by with it. They're just going to keep doing it. No matter who it is. It don't matter who it is. They need to be taken care of. Just like kids, you know, if you let kids do stuff and get away with it, they're going to keep right on doing it. It don't matter who it is, but somebody needs to be held accountable for it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
McGee.
Mr. McGee.
Thank you, Ms.
Ms. Holder, the list that I'm holding, there's a person on the agenda, Alan Connor. Would you like me to go ask about him, or would you like to? And while you're there, please find out if there's anyone that's there that wishes to speak that's not on this list. You're welcome to take this list.
Mr. Chairman, this person cannot be found. They may have left. In the interim, they are no longer outside. And there is no one else remaining to speak, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Holder. At this time, we conclude the public comment period for the August 18th meeting. Ms. Holder, can you please go over the format and the way we will conduct and the way the citizens can follow on our reconvened meeting for the 20th?
Certainly, sir. Once the board recesses to reconvene to Thursday night, it is Thursday night at 6 p.m. The board will meet virtually via Zoom. Those wishing to watch the video may do so at the county's, by watching the county's YouTube page. That is what we publicize that on our social media. There's an easy to find link there. But you can also search for Sampson County Government on YouTube. We will also provide a link for anyone who wishes just to simply listen by Zoom. And I will go ahead and provide, if you don't mind, sir, the telephone number and the meeting ID for the record.
I would greatly
Yes.
appreciate you.
The
doing that.
telephone number to listen only is 646-558-8656. Once you dial that number, the meeting ID number is 842-1064-9745, and you will be asked to put in a password 778-231-516. In case anyone had a hard time writing all of that down, it is on that link that is on our webpage and it's been published on our social media pages as well. So there are easy links to those items, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Holder. Appreciate that. At this time, is there any other questions or comments from the board? If not, I will entertain a motion to recess and reconvene Thursday, August 20th at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Second. Thank you, Commissioner Kivett, and thank you for your second, Commissioner Godwin. Ms. Holder, would you do the kind honor of
Certainly,
calling the roll?
Chairman Wooten, how do you
In the
vote?
affirmative.
Chairperson Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Kivett?
Yes.
Commissioner Parker?
Yes.
Commissioner Godwin?
Yes.
You have a unanimous vote to recess, sir.
Recess to reconvene.